My name is Larry, and I am a recovering Mandalorian-olic. Is there such a thing? No. Seriously, in all seriousness, The Mandalorian. Why was it so great? Why is it so terrible? So I have here the whole ton of Mandalorian merchandise, stickies for the car window, the doll that in the cardboard container looks like the little floaty crib, the full helmet, the original mask I first got, though he's wearing Spock's Vulcan headpiece ears right now. Got a snow globe as a gift. You name it, I got all sorts of stuff. The Mandalorian is a perfect example of what makes a franchise really spectacular. It's got to be something that captures the imagination. When we were kids, a lot of the franchises that have their origin in the 80s, they gave us a cartoon or a movie plus a comic book plus a toy line. It allowed it to be a major event in the course of our lives. It fired our imagination. The things that made me a science fiction fantasy fan were growing up with Star Trek, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Star Wars. I got into Star Wars because of the comic books, because Star Trek was a family thing. We all went to see the movies. We watched it on TV. There was no readily available Star Wars on TV. And because the other people in the family were not interested in Star Wars, we didn't go to the movies. Return of the Jedi was the first one I think I saw in the theater. And I actually had read The Empire Strikes Back as a comic book adaptation. And it wasn't until after Return of the Jedi that I finally saw the original Star Wars A New Hope, like more than a decade after it came out or so. But these things existed that fired our imagination. They got into our lives through toys, through comics, through cartoons, movies, TV shows, and inspired us. And that's the key. Good writing inspires your imagination. It doesn't detract from it. We who grew up with this stuff were really desperate given the horrible, horrible trilogy that we got from Disney Star Wars. And I know people out there enjoy it, whatever. People think, oh, you're overreacting, whatever. When you have had 32 years to contemplate the outcome of those characters, when you had spent a decade of your life with them, watching them develop, watching them grow, having this be part of your life. Han Solo goes from a smuggler to a general in the Rebel Alliance, a man who's clearly going to be with Princess Leia, and they're going to be a family going forward. You pick it up 32 years later, and oh, well, it didn't go quite as well as he thought, so he ran off and became a smuggler again. Luke Skywalker, the young man who grows to be a hero from his idealism and adventurism into a serious warrior for good, he just gives it all up and goes to the monastery because something didn't go his way. He had a little tantrum. All of the things they did with the characters were completely flawed. That there was nothing consistent. There was nothing, as Mr. Tuvok would say, nothing that followed Tahane's dictates of poetics. There was nothing logical. 32 years of dreaming about where it would be, and what you got was not remotely related to any of the several directions it might have gone, and it makes no sense, and no explanation is given, and no, there you go. We were desperate after that for something Star Wars that was good, and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have a history of making good stuff, though they're not flawless. They have a history of making good stuff. The Mandalorian was incredible. I turned on The Mandalorian for the first time and I was blown away. I happily devoured The Mandalorian, especially that first season. Going into the second, they gave us the ability to imagine again by taking and picking up that aspect that was always there from the hero's journey of Luke Skywalker, but you also had ongoing this sort of space western phenomenon on places like Tatooine, giving us a Mandalorian, giving us new characters, Quill, Cara Dune, even like in Carl Weathers' character, the IG robot. These people that are clearly a part of the Star Wars universe, but they're new. They're related to the other events, but they're new. And they are largely mysterious, which fires your imagination. We got this incredible story that was consistent with the universe, gave us these new people, and then we could dare to dream. It was quite an adventure. I'm always saying that Star Trek had the best universe set up because you're literally just going out to explore new worlds. You can add a different, go forward further to the future and a new ship and a new crew. You could do that forever. Why they're obsessed with killing it, I don't know, and killing it with prequels, but I digress. The Mandalorian gave us something set in the Star Wars universe that was open-ended. You wanted to know the mystery of the child, and you wanted to see that develop, but largely you could go anywhere and do anything, and we got a series of kind of standalone episodes of helping the people overcome the ATST, being able to see that as a powerful thing after only seeing them when Ewoks were destroying them in the forest in Return of the Jedi, getting a sense of the ominous seriousness at the local sort of level of the oppression under militarism of the Empire, these leftover weapons being around, and people using them for nefarious purposes. We get the stories of the bounty hunters, the guild, the Mandalorian, the armor bearer, the hiding in there's all these cool aspects to that universe. I loved it, but it fired the imagination. And then steadily they started to work on the woke checklist. Now, I really loved seeing Katie Sackhoff again, and everybody in that did a good job, and that made it a lot more palatable when you took the big badass Mandalorian and turned him into a nursemaid with a bunch of women around him to protect him. But, Gina Carano did such an amazing job as Cara Dune, and Katie Sackhoff, and all of it was all well done enough that it was all right. It was all right. They were starting to check these boxes, but it wasn't completely destroying the art. Now, for me, it was bringing in more of the expanded universe that I didn't watch the Star Wars cartoons when they came out in the 2000s. I didn't read. I read a couple of the Zahn novels, but I gave up the comic book sometime, in the early 90s. So I had no idea who these people are. Getting Ahsoka or Asuka. No, that's the wrestler. But they were still decent shows. They were good episodes. Like, okay, well, I'll learn more about Moff Gideon. I'll learn more about this. And as time goes on, they'll be presenting that extra canonical material, making it canon by bringing it into the show. And maybe they'll modify it a little, but I'll learn about it as I go. And then Boba Fett happened. Beta Fett. Boba Cuck. Whatever you want to call it. Boba Fett is a perfect example of somebody who fired our imagination. Most of us loved him as kids. When we were young boys, we thought he was the greatest because he had the coolest armor. It had the coolest gadgets. He had a badass personality and a deep voice. He was a scary bad guy bounty hunter, but even we understood that bounty hunter thing meant he was kind of in a gray area. It was a fascinating character that fired the imagination. He didn't talk much. He wasn't in a lot of it. We just thought he was super cool and we wanted to know more. Everybody wanted that action figure because it was so cool. Man, I wish I still had my action figures. I had Boba Fett. We dreamed of getting the one with a rocket shot out, even though we know that's largely an urban legend. There were only a few prototypes. So they bring Boba Fett in to fire up the whole thing, and now Boba Fett is a weak, pacified, Brady Bunch version of himself, as Simon Phoenix would say in Demolition Man. They have made him nice and respectful. There seems to be an intentional move to eliminate guns and weaponry and violence from the whole thing, even though he is Boba Fett and was a bounty hunter and now he's just kind of a middle-aged puddin' belly wash up that has women to look out for him while he tries to make himself the next fat godfather in the place of Jabba. They've completely obliterated any of the mystery of the character. They've completely obliterated anything cool about the character. They even changed the name of his cool ship from Slave One to, what are they going to call it? Like the Fire Spray or something spray? I don't even remember, because that was originally like the design model, not the name, but now it'll be the name because we can't have Slave One because that's too edgy and badass. making him become one of the tribe and to do dances with Tuskens out in taking the Tusken Raiders from being obviously a villainous bad guy that hangs around scavenging other people's property, and in perfectly modern Hollywood communist fashion, making them into a poor oppressed indigenous people who really owned the land. This is the sort of thing that is killing, ruined, has destroyed the Star Wars franchise. It's destroyed Star Trek. There is nothing being produced now under Kurtzman and this fake umbrella that I am remotely interested in. The day that STD made fun of Gene Roddenberry by name on camera, I turned it off for the last time. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I canceled my subscription. I'm done with all that fake Star Trek. Only classic Star Trek. And Star Wars, I'm really debating whether to watch any more of The Mandalorian when it comes back. But they've sucked so much of the joy out of it. Now they've destroyed Boba Fett. And I guess what I hear is they tried to bring in the Mandalorian storylines and cross over recently because they want you to watch all of this disgusting universe. And my gut tells me it's just going to be horrible when it comes back. They are fully checking the boxes of violence, guns, gender swap, racial sensitivity, and all of this, forcing this onto a universe and a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away for no good reason. And they had this beautiful gem that they came out with The Mandalorian, and it was huge, and everyone talked about it, buying the merchandise because I wanted to support what they were doing when it was good. Give your support to the stuff that's good, maybe finesse it that way. Like everyone's talking about Spider-Man No Way Home right now. If there's any chance to move the market back to getting back to restoring these intellectual properties instead of gutting them for excerpts from the Communist Manifesto, let's do it. I loved The Mandalorian. It was huge, and everybody was talking about it, and now they have slowly begun to kill it. And this is sort of what they do. Oh, this is popular. It has fans. Let's put our message in it. Oh, this is popular. It has fans. Let's kill it with the woke. But, Cobra Kai's got a female problem. We need to bring in more. No, Cobra Kai has been awesome because it has stuck to its source material and been respectful of that material. And no, it has not been racist or sexist or any of that ism, archaeobia, nonsense crap. It's just been true to its source material. That's all. All The Mandalorian had to do was avoid the fake universe of Disney. All they needed to do was make it something separate, have it be a Mandalorian verse, have references maybe to the former war, the Empire, whatever, meet up with some remnants and some stormtroopers. But bringing in Luke Skywalker, which a lot of people got really excited about, you're just going to end up bringing in that failed universe. There's this whole elaborate conspiracy out there that they're doing at certain supervillains that live at the core of the Earth, who I won't name by name. This idea that there's a civil war within Lucasfilm and Kathy Kennedy's going to be out and all of this. And then why does Boba Fett stink? Why is Boba Fett an emasculated beta? Why, if this were true? And why have they been progressively doing this within The Mandalorian? Swapping up stories, things that make no sense suddenly happen, complete and utter inconsistencies happen, killing off Quill, killing off characters that are good, that people loved, so you can bring in more from the fake extended universe that they were planning to suck dry of whatever dignity it had left to in their quest to make believe that they're making a buck. I don't know. But as we see this, they get their tentacles in there and it falls apart. Where's this so-called civil war? Who's really in control? And for Favreau and Filoni, they have done good stuff, but they're not perfect. Clearly, it's over. It's over. The things that they accidentally hit upon that are good, they will quickly destroy. This is why I have still not seen Spider-Man No Way Home. Just money in the pocket of people that are going to make another Miss Marvel series or whatever, or a ridiculous WandaVision thing. Why would I do that? I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to be involved with it. I'm not going to care about it until we actually see the trend reverse. I have been happy to support things that support the reversal of the trend. If it does get there, maybe I'll go see it. Maybe I'll see it when it comes out on streaming. I loved The Suicide Squad. I thought it was an excellent movie. I loved The Joker. I thought that was an excellent movie. I'm more than willing to support stuff that's not part of the blatant, obvious communist narrative to the point that it sucks all life and story out of the story. All meaningfulness vanishes because of the ridiculous wokeness. So Mandalorian, I don't know what they're going to do with it, and I'm going to have to debate whether I even want to sign up again and watch any part of it. But I'm done with Fett. These stories are continually, these intellectual properties are constantly being ruined by the insertion of this stuff, and I can't highlight this enough. It's intentional. It is not just communist propaganda that is intended to brainwash people to think this way. It is intentionally meant to destroy the quality of the product for people like you and me, I should say, for people that loved and enjoyed the original franchise. It isn't enough to reimagine, give us Rey Palpatine and the Emperor ultimately wins because he takes over Luke's name and property, to give us Rey Palpatine, the ultimate Mary Sue, in place of a real hero. That's not enough. They had to reduce Luke Skywalker to a sniveling, cowardly idiot. They had to reduce Han Solo to a sniveling, cowardly, deadbeat dad who gets killed and has it coming. And they have to eliminate, they're taking all of these franchises, turning them woke, knowing that either way they win. Either people view it and consume the communist propaganda, or people abandon it and it dies, and they can finally kill off all those heroes of back when culture was good, when we admired things like heroism and nobility, so that they can trash it all and keep producing this crap where the criminals are the good guys, the scum of the earth are supposed to be elevated, and the statues of heroes are torn down to make room for statues of murderers and thieves and rapists and drug addicts. I guess that's the summary for the day. The destruction of these intellectual properties is political, ideological, it is intentional, and it's sad that, but when they do hit on something accidentally good, somebody makes something good, I like to enjoy it before they ruin it. I've got all the Mandalorian stuff. It was good once. Please don't kill it. But of course they will, because they hate people like me. They hate people who love the good stuff. They hate people who love the original stuff. They hate us, and they want us to hate their product and not consume it. Isn't that something? Whereas there was a time when that's how you made a living, was selling the product. Anyway, this rant has gone on long enough, but I wanted to say a few words about that with Boba Fett, with the Mandalorian. Yeah, I've got all the Mandalorian stuff. I have no idea where the show is going to end up.